Okay, Israel. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I hope everybody's doing well today. And like we normally say, hope your weekend was productive, kept it spiritual, kept it strong. Shout out Cabo Cabo and his congregation in Guatemala and the brothers and sisters that they're responsible for from Cali to Georgia. I hope y'all doing well today. Also, shout out Kazakia, SOW, Virginia. Oh, you got it in there. And Quadzop, SOW, Houston. And Zion, SOW, Rochester, New York. Hope everybody's doing well today. Shout out at obviously San Antonio camp. And I'm about to get started in class today. The title of the class is The Importance of Counseling Without Selfish Intentions. And just so y'all know, we've been on this. We're going into another series. Last week we dealt with that issues with counseling and just being in the right spirit when you're counseling, but there's different levels and there's more information concerning counseling and being in the right spirit when you counsel. So we have to kind of take our time and explain how Israel a lot of times falls short when it comes to counseling. What we're about to go into today, we went into last week and we're going to go into the week next week. Just because you know scriptures and just because you might know how to address people doesn't mean you're in the right spirit of counseling. There is more to it, Shalom sis, but there's more to counseling than just dropping information, pulling verses, and being able to show how off a person is. There's more to it, and we have to kind of go into the mechanics behind what we do and why we say what we say. Once again, as we continue to explain counseling and we explain the spirit you have to be in, this does not absolve us from being in order with our counselors. This does not eliminate the responsibility of the student to be in order with his teacher. Or does it absolve the wife to be in order, to not be in order with her husband? You still have to have obedience and stay in order. But we're also trying to educate young men, educate brothers, and educate young counselors, hell, and even older counselors, to understand what it takes and how to counsel properly so you can please the Most High and keep the Most High on your side while you're counseling, while you're giving advice. So, what I want to do is start off where we left off in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7. Now, we read last week 22 and 23, and we explained what being in the Spirit is and the importance of being in the Spirit. And we're trying to make sure, as we're explaining what being in the Spirit is, we're not getting too mystically and too like this Casper the Friendly Ghost type. We're not trying to get all ghosty. We're trying to get people to understand that what the Spirit is, and it's the mindset that you have to be for the Spirit and for the Spirit of Christ to flow through you.
So the spirit of a non-selfish counselor is not some extraterrestrial, out of worldly experience when you go through. All of a sudden, you're going to be this most, interesting, kind, selfless personality because you get this mystical thing.
And in the past, before Christ, the way that the spirit was being explained, it was being explained by being in the spirit of wisdom. Now, a lot of times Israel thinks wisdom is something special when actually wisdom nowadays is prudence. How Israel operates is more prudent than wise. But if we're going to get the true understanding of what being wise and being in the spirit of wisdom is, Wisdom of Solomon 7 verse 22 and 23 explains the spirit of wisdom and explains that it's kind. It's not subject to hurt. It has the capacity to uplift and build one another up. It has a superior focus. And obviously, it has superior intention behind the work. So, we went into that ad nauseum last week. I'm not going to go and focus on 22 and 23, but I am going to focus on verse 24 down. So, it still deals with that spirit of wisdom, being in the spirit of Christ. So, let's read on. Wisdom of Solomon 7, verse 24 down to verse 30.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion, She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness.
So it says wisdom operates, or the spirit of the spirit of Christ operates in the spirit of pureness. The only way the spirit is going to operate through each and every one of us is if our intentions are pure, our outlook is pure, our outlook towards one another is pure. That's how the spirit works with us. It's in the spirit of purity and clarity of intent and pureness of intent. This is how the spirit can work through us today. The problem is, as we know, we're not always pure. So if our intentions aren't always pure, if our thoughts aren't always pure, if our mind isn't always pure, that means the spirit can't stay in us for a prolonged period of time. That's why it's constantly moving in and out, working through us when we're pure and leaving us when we're not. Let's continue.
Verse 25. For she is the breath of the power of Yahweh.
The power of the Most High and the breath of the Most High is wisdom, is pureness. When the Most High and Christ created or made creation, it was made through the spirit of pureness. Okay? Pureness of intent, pureness of creation. Let's continue.
And a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty.
Once again, it was about the purity of influence. When Christ sat back here, Christ and the angels created everything on earth. And that spirit flowed through all of his creation. Everything the Most High has created was perfect and pure of intent. From all the animals, the oceans, the land, mankind, the intention was for it to be pure and good. Let's continue. What verse are we at?
Still 25.
Okay.
Therefore, can no defiled thing fall into her.
He's letting us know. He keeps referring to the spirit of Christ, or the spirit of wisdom, as being pure. And he also explains that a defiled nature can't operate in the purity of the spirit, or the purity of wisdom, or the purity of the intent of the person that operates with this type of thinking. Okay? Having pure thoughts and intention can't mix and match with defiled intent, with selfish intent, with evil intent. Okay? Why is it so important? Because why do we come to class every day? Why do we read scriptures every day? Why do we dedicate as much as we do every day? To get closer to the Father, right? Mm-hmm. Why else do we do it? To get to the kingdom and to get close to the Father. So if we're trying to get closer to the Father, then everything that we do, everything that we strive for, has to be based on pureness of intent, pureness of purpose, pureness of reason. If that is not your number one direct priority, then you're going to be spinning your wheels thinking that it's about just not doing anything on the Sabbath and just looking up and down, being Sabbath warriors and fringe warriors. Because a lot of us think that's the focus, when that's just literally the basics. We're going to have to eventually evolve past the basics and get to the master's courses. You know, I'm not going into this now. When you go into Galatians talks about learning when you first get the knowledge of who you are and you get the foundation of the law, statutes, commandments. That's your what? That's your basic what?
The schoolmaster.
That's your schoolmaster. Do you sit back here as you keep graduating to high school and then college? Do you still focus on your alphabets? Do you still focus on your nouns and your vowels and your verb contents and all that stuff? You don't do that because you've already got that. Now it's time to take that foundation and build on top of it. What the Most High is showing us now with everything we've learned, you're not going to get the response from the Heavenly Father unless the intent behind it is pure. The intent behind your counsel, the intent behind the message you're bringing to the table, the intent behind your communication with the brothers, your intent behind your thinking, the intent behind the thoughts that you play with. the intent behind how you address your children, the intent behind how you deal with the people that you love, the intent behind how you deal with the people that there might be rifts with. He's looking at the purity of everything, and how pure it is determines if the Spirit is flowing through you at the time. I'm trying to paint this picture because it's so important. It is a form. If you want to tap into the spirit of things, if you want to tap into the Spirit of Christ, you have to have a greater willingness to self-police the why. Why do you do the things you do? Why do you make the decision you do? And the why has to be based on honesty and purity of reasoning also. So many times we lie to ourselves. So many times we operate in these delusions. And these delusions and these lies destroy the purity of your intent. So this is why it's so important that we have to get beyond, if we're going to grow, the basic policing of what the law tells us, the basic policing over what a brother over you tells you. Because I can't count on my hand how many times we've worked with brothers and they're one way around us and they're another way at home. They're one way around us and they're another way to the younger men when we're not around them. Or they're one way around us and they're another way at home with their wives and their children. The Most High sees the intent. A lot of times brothers think they can sit back and just put this mask on in front of us and they're getting away with something. But if you're playing that game where I can man please and show people this one thing, but then be a different person on this side, just know that the Spirit's not with you. Because the spirit of purity and pureness isn't there with you. Pureness of intent isn't with you. And if there's negative in you, if you don't have the humility or honesty to confess what the issue is amongst the brothers, why are you lying to yourself and thinking the Spirit's with you when you're away from the body? So, let's continue. What verse are we at?
Wisdom of Solomon 7:26. For she is the brightness of everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of the Most High.
The unspotted mirror of the power of the Most High. Listen, the crazy thing is if we're operating in the Spirit, do we need somebody hovering over us every 5 minutes? No. If you're in the Spirit, you don't need anybody hovering over why you did what you did. There's no need to have this spirit of distrust amongst the body if everybody operated in the spirit of wisdom. Because if we operated in the spirit of wisdom, then if the Spirit is in you, it's that unspotted mirror of the Most High reflecting the Most High's intention. Because the Spirit can't operate in you if there's filth in you, if there's negative in you.
But the filth, the negative, is that dishonesty.
And that's the point. That's the root of the filth and
because
negative.
The reason the councils don't stick, the reason the changes don't stick, and the reason why we're in the cycle of repetition, the cycle of repetitive conversation, circular, repetitive conversations that are the same cause and effect over and over and over, because we make the same mistakes because we don't practice honesty.
Yep.
So when you don't practice honesty, you run in place.
And just so y'all know online, this is why we keep teaching similar topics across the board. We teach similar topics all the damn time. Purity of intention, pure outlook. Outlook that's pure.
Respect.
Not hating your brother. Making sure that there's not a malignant root in you.
Don't have pride.
Don't have pride. See the good in the person next to you. Don't be a scorner. It's like we're remixing the same topic 80 times.
That's what the Bible does.
What that is what the Bible does. I'm not discounting what we do. I'm just explaining what we do to our audience. Because it will be easy for us to sit back here and just break down knowledge, break down history, and go home. That's easy. Because what we'll do is we'll get knowledge, we'll get information, we'll feel better about ourselves, we'll feel super smart, and go home and not fix the things inside of us that really count.
Yeah.
If you've listened to enough of our classes, we'll go into more informational topics, and we do it on the Sabbath, mixed with Inner Man too. But I know the classes seem like they're slight variations of the same concept. And I'm just speaking the obvious. Nobody says anything, but that is the truth. But it has to be done because this is the hardest part of coming into the knowledge. The hardest part of coming to the knowledge is sitting back here and figuring out what it takes to gain mastery of what's inside of you. Everything else is just reading and studying. The gaining mastery of your pride, gaining mastery of your tongue, gaining mastery of your thinking, gaining mastery of your intentions is everything that it takes to actually have the Spirit flow through you. Because that is what it's going to take to get the kingdom. That is what it's going to take to gain favor of the Most High. And this is why we're here. Like we said in the beginning of class, to gain favor of the Most High, right? That's what we should be shooting for, fighting for, and pursuing. Yes.
And I was going to say, an obvious telltale sign that it's starting to click. The classes are starting to click. The counts are starting to click. Because a lot of times there's an amnesia. You have a class high, so to speak. You get charged up. Things make sense in class. Then you leave, and the test is immediately after that.
Yeah.
It's the next morning. It's the next day of the job. And all of a sudden, you're failing the test, but you just heard the class.
Brothers be cussing people out a day after a class. They said they got understanding it. I understand it. Yeah. Get your head out of my pocket. Like, what the hell's going on?
I know.
What the hell just happened? Why are we in the scene of Malcolm X, Zach? Why are we at the the Harlem Ballroom, Zach? The day after brothers said they had epiphany class, Zach.
Yeah.
I bring up the Harlem Ballroom because that was what happened. There was this crazy, at least the movie said that. And there's these two black men arguing about getting your hand out of my pocket, and then all of a sudden he gets shot. What am I trying to explain? But the night before, everybody's on a cloud. There's euphoria. There's clarity. There's happiness. And then it might not be a day later, or it could be 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
Then everybody goes back to normal, and they wait till the next class where they can get high and go home.
Yeah.
This is why.
There's so many classes.
This is why brothers be sitting back here and saying, y'all got to go home and study about the topic and write a small report about what you got out of it.
How it applies to you in particular.
How it applies to you.
Brothers will hear a class, that's the brother talking about.
Yeah.
Well, that class is 99% about things that everybody deals with. If you're hearing and you're not looking at how this applies to you, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. Because the results that we should be looking for is the reward of the Spirit of Christ being sent to you. Christ talks about this in St. John 15, St. John 16, about how the Spirit, Christ sends His Spirit into you. We haven't gotten to that point in St. John 15 because we was focused on malignant root for flipping a century, like a month and a half. But once again, why do you got to go through malignant root? Because if we don't go through classes like malignant root, will you ever be rewarded with the Spirit inside of you? No.
What people do is just blame other people and deflect what they got to fix.
And then they'll just hide behind, in our work, just the physical work.
Yep.
In other camps, Israel hide behind the Torah. They'll hide behind high holy days and gatherings and clothing.
Or the white man.
Or how the white man's so evil. And
he's a bad guy.
He's the worst guy on earth.
Already.
Those are all mechanisms to hide from what's really inside of you. Doesn't mean those concepts are wrong, but they're only wrong when you use those things not to fix what's inside of you.
It's not the focus.
Because that shouldn't be the focus. This is why Christ said He hated our high holy days and our new moons and all our gatherings. Because what good is gathering together? What good is following high holy days, new moons, all that stuff if we're not fixing what's inside of us?
And the point is, Christ said, I came to save that which was lost.
God.
So we got to focus on the lost part.
Yeah.
That's what He came for.
Yeah, we're supposed to focus on the lost people and the negative in us, the darkness in us.
Why we're lost.
That makes us disconnected because we're all lost.
Yeah.
And just because you know Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah doesn't mean you're found. Didn't Matthew 7 say not everybody that says Lord, Lord is going to make the kingdom? No. There's a reason behind that. So, let's continue in Wisdom of Solomon 7.
Wisdom of Solomon 7 to 26 from the top. For she is the brightness of the everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of the Most High and the image of His
The
goodness.
Spirit of wisdom, the Spirit of Christ, is the image of the Most High's goodness, and it is the reason that we should be doing this every day, is to in hopes that we'd be rewarded with the Spirit of wisdom, Spirit of light, Spirit of blessing inside of us. That's what we do this for. That should be what we do this for. Well, let's continue.
Verse 27. And being but one, she can do all things. And remaining in herself, she maketh all things new.
So it says, the Spirit of wisdom makes all things that it inhabits new. Why does Paul say when in Christ you become a new what?
Creature.
A new creature. Because in following Christ's way and changing how you think, then the Spirit can enter into you and you can become a new person. Now you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself. You're not going to become new because you have knowledge. You're not going to become new because you have a new Hebrew name. You're not going to become new because you wear fringes. That's the beginning of your journey, becoming new. Becoming new happens when you eliminate the darkness that's inside of you. When you learn to have a greater control over the darkness that's inside of you. That is the work, and that's where the goal should be. Get on.
God says, and being but one, she can do all things, and remain in herself, she maketh all things new, and in all ages entering into holy souls.
He says, it doesn't matter how old or young unto you, that Spirit of wisdom or the Holy Spirit can enter into all souls. All souls that are pure, all souls that are purged, all souls whose intent has become refined. Too many times, this is why the scripture says that the scriptures and the word are a discerner of what? Thoughts and intentions. It's the discerner of the heart. Because that's what the Spirit is looking for in the midst of your suffering, in the midst of your loss, in the midst of your battle, in the midst of the check. What is your intention behind the check? What is your intention behind your counsel? What is the intention behind what you do for your brother? What's your intention behind picking this second rib? What is the intention behind counseling this person with so much fervency? Whereas one person gets great attention from you and another person gets treated like dog crap. What's your intention behind all things? Because that's what the word does. It discerns the motivations and the intentions and the situations the Most High puts us through is all predicated on discerning what the real you is all about. And once life, the circumstance the Most High puts you through, your personal decisions, your personal reasoning, then the Most High has a proper evaluation of what you are. And based on your decisions will determine if you'll get rewarded with that Spirit that'll make you new, or you'll keep being the same person that you are. Let's continue.
She maketh them friends of the Most High and prophets.
It says, and he says, she maketh them friends of the Most High and the prophets. What he's letting us know is that based upon how serious we are in fixing our motivations, fixing our intent, getting past, yeah, we follow the law. Yeah, we know the scriptures. But there's more to it than that. After you know the law and the basic concept of the scriptures, for hundreds of years, we have operated and counseled, maneuvering our way around the law. You can use the law and still maneuver your evil, selfish intention, even though you're following the law. Israel has been doing that from the beginning of time. We're still manipulative. We'll still pursue our ways, but we're under the guise, I come to class 3 to 4 days a week. I still follow the law. I'm flawless with the Torah, but my intention is dirty. What he's saying is once you get the law and you understand the law, then you start dealing with the intentions behind what we do. If you are successful in attacking your intentions and discovering the pureness in everything you do and the reason that you do it, then you become friends with the Most High. And you become friends of the Most High and prophets. Read that last sentence again. He says, she maketh them
friends of the Most High and prophets.
So it lets you know in this verse why prophets are called to be prophets in the first place. You're not just, a person isn't made to be a prophet just because you wake up and you start dropping verses and you know the Bible. The gift of prophecy, the gift of being a prophet is a reward for your pursuit of pureness, for your pursuit of pureness of intent. That is a reward for conduct and what's the word, abstinence in everything around you. That's when the Most High starts to elevate you on different levels. And you can begin to become friends of the Most High. Who was a friend of the Most High? Abraham. David was a man of the Most High's heart. Now there was times he faded in and out of pureness, but he stayed in the spirit of pureness longer than he was out of the spirit of pureness. It kind of gives you an idea of what makes great men of the Bible, and why we're still here trying to figure it out. The prophets were prophets because they understood purity of intention. They understood purity of motivation, purity of what I'm trying to counsel, what are the intent behind the counsel, and am I getting anything out of the deal in counsel? So many times I can't count on my hand how many Israelites I've seen get rank and they misuse rank. They abuse it. They use it to benefit them. They use it to sit back here and revolve everything around them. And then they just spin it as the Spirit. That's not how we are awarded the Spirit. That's not how we're awarded the Spirit of wisdom. Well, let's continue.
Verse 28. For the Most High loveth none but him that dwelleth in wisdom.
He says the Most High only loves ones that dwell with wisdom. He only loves those who have the Spirit with them. But the Spirit is only with those who operate with honesty and pureness of intent. On top of everything you know. On top of every knowledge, a piece of information and knowledge that you know. If you're not operating with honesty and pureness of intent, you can't really have a relationship with the Most High. If you're one way around the men and another way away from the men, you're not pure. He says the Most High responds to us who are pure of intent and pure of motivation. And we're going to go into examples of purity of intent and purity of reasoning as we continue in class. But this is what he's looking for. It's very clear. He's very clear about the expectation of what it takes to be a friend of the Lord, to be closer to the Lord. This is why it also says the Most High is a consuming what?
Fire.
Because the only way to get closer to him is for your intentions to be pure, your motivations to be pure, your reasons for getting up in the morning to be pure. That's what it takes. So let's continue.
But you know it's not pure because the level of effort varies and changes based on what you do or do not get. That's a telltale sign.
And we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that. But you're right. Listen, have you noticed your level of intensity in the Lord fluctuates based on if you got rank or not? I've seen brothers when they have some rank, they're motivated. When they get demoted, they're less motivated. I've seen men when they're working and they're told, congratulations, doing a great job, they're in there. But when they get checked, they can't handle it. All of a sudden, the work rate diminishes, the attitude picks up, the selfishness intensifies. Same thing with a wife. I've seen wives, as long as they're being told they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they're giving nothing but praise, they lock in.
I will serve.
But when all of a sudden they start being criticized about their conduct, all of a sudden, I don't know about this marriage. I've seen people as long as they're getting something out of the deal, they're 100% focused. Their intention is there. But when you start losing, all of a sudden your effort ain't the same. I'm not sure about this. But that's all predicated upon gain. That's how you know your intention isn't pure. your intention and your motivations aren't aligned with the Spirit of Christ or the Spirit of wisdom. This is how we understand these things. And the only way, he says, the Most High loveth none but him that dwells with wisdom, him that dwells with the Spirit of Christ. He don't love nobody else. That's scary. That's scary. That means just because you're Israel, don't mean you're going to get that love that you're seeking. So it kind of lets you know why our life is the way it is. And we might be falling short of the things that we want. He's loving the individuals who are fighting to remain pure. Pure of intent, pure of motivation. Those are the individuals who he loves and he fights for. So, let's continue.
Wisdom of Solomon 7:29. For she is more beautiful than the sun.
Wisdom, the pureness of wisdom, the pureness of how that spirit of wisdom flows through you is more beautiful than the sun. Read on.
And above all the order of the stars, being compared with the light, she is found before it.
It says the wisdom is the light, and it's pure. And there's nothing greater than when the things you do every day before the Lord are of pure intent and a pure motivation. It doesn't get any better than that. And the Most High looks at the purity of our work with respect. But let's continue.
Verse 30. For after this cometh night, but vice shall not prevail against wisdom.
What he says, but vice shall not prevail against wisdom.
Wow.
So listen, if you're in the spirit of wisdom, if you're in the spirit of Christ, that means vice isn't winning. But if vice is winning, the spirit ain't with you. And if the spirit ain't with you, then the Most High doesn't love you. That's scary. And that's real. And this is why we keep going over these topics week in and week out. This is why we deal with the malignant root. Let me fix that. This is why we deal with the malignant root. Negative outlook. Pureness of intention. You ever notice the more negative your outlook gets, the harder your conditions get?
Yeah.
He's letting you know that because his love is dissipating from you. His love intensifies when your intentions are pure. When your intentions are more based upon self, life gets harder. It is a simple equation that we refuse to accept. We try to paint ourselves as the victim. We've suffered so much. We've gone through so many things. This is why life is harder. But the Most High tightens the clamps on us the more we get disconnected from the Spirit. The more we get disconnected from pureness of intent, thought, processing, outlook, this is what the Lord is trying to get us to embrace and understand. So he said in verse 30, vice shall not prevail against wisdom. You can't sit back here and play with vice. Play with those weaknesses of the flesh and expect the Spirit to flow through you. There's a scripture in the Wisdom of Solomon 1 that says, into a malicious spirit, what? Wisdom shall not enter. But it's not just maliciousness. It's not just maliciousness. It's also vice. Into a spirit of vice, the Spirit won't work with you. All the lust of the flesh that we play with, if that's what we keep playing with, the Spirit is not going to honor us. And he's going to lose love for us.
That's something on vice.
What you got?
Vice. I found it in Google under virtue and vice.
Okay.
Vice is a character trait that is considered morally bad or undesirable. Examples of vices include greed, dishonesty, cruelty, envy, anger, and laziness.
It's all those things that Israel deals with on a daily basis. Those lusts of the flesh is vice. The lust of the flesh that we've never learned to master in ourselves is are the key components of why the Spirit don't work through us, why the Spirit don't work with us. Okay, so yeah, that was verse 30. Listen, there's a lot there in that chapter, but this is why we go into these specifics and these details, and why we commit ourselves and we try to teach Israel to commit themselves to studying and commit themselves to fixing what's inside of them, because that's the only way we're going to keep growing in our love towards the Father, and the Most High growing in His love towards us. We're going to let that go. We're going to go to Job chapter 26, verse 2 through 4.
Job chapter 26, verse 2 reads.
So knowing that the Most High is judging us based upon our intent, why we do what we do, our motivations, knowing the Most High is looking at us that way. Now let's read Job 26, verse 2 through 4.
Job chapter 26 and verse 2 reads, How hast thou helped him that is without power?
Listen, that's a question. That's a real question that every single one of us need to ask ourselves, because that's what the Most High is asking us. This is what He's looking at when He's looking at us as counselors, teachers, and leaders. Read the verse again.
Job chapter 26 and verse 2 reads, How hast thou helped him that is without power?
Listen, what have you done to help somebody that doesn't have power? What does that mean for a person that doesn't have power? Is that necessarily about position and authority on earth? Or is it about what have you done for somebody who doesn't have power over their thoughts? Doesn't have power over their compulsions? Doesn't have power over their vice? These are the questions that the Most High is looking at. What are you doing with the weaker vessel at your house who hasn't figured out how to fight their battle? What have you done to help them gain power over their flesh? Because what we'll do, I told her to change. I told her to fix it. If a person doesn't have power to fix what's inside of them, are cheap words going to do it? But we'll sit back and use the cheap words to justify why we've done enough. I told her to change. I told her to fix it. We'll say the same thing with brothers. I gave him the order. He just didn't listen. And that's our excuse to get us off the hook so that we don't got to be better leaders. All we do, we'll pass the buck because I gave a counsel. We'll pass the buck because I told a person to stop doing this. It's not good for your spirit. Read that verse again.
Job chapter 26, verse 2 reads, How hast thou helped him that is without power?
How have you helped a person that is without power? This is how we are being rated as counselors, helpers, teachers. Because all of us young officers are claiming to be teachers, claiming to be heads of household, claiming to be counselors. What have we done to help a person who obviously can't figure it out? Besides saying that the person just doesn't want to change. Because isn't that what we use all the time? When you give a person some counsel and they don't change, or they just don't want to lock in. They don't want to fix it. They don't give a damn. Obviously, sorry about that, there's more to it. And there's more that you can do to assist a person in fighting their battle. But to do the extra, now you don't want to lose. We don't mind losing a conversation or two. We don't mind counseling a little bit. But what are you going to do to sit back here and help pull a person out of depression? What are you going to do to sit back here and help inspire somebody to be better than what they are? That's when the work gets harder. That's when serving the Most High becomes a challenge. Because it's easy to be Captain Obvious and drop information, correct people with your words, and say these people are wicked and all because they don't want to listen to me. But what are you prepared to do to go beyond that? To give a person that doesn't have the power to fix their own condition, what are you going to do to help strengthen them in their condition? How are you going to pull them out of their condition to help give them strength? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves when we hit roadblocks with the development of our people. Instead of getting angry, frustrated, and just want to cut people off. And that statement should be cutting everybody in this room. Because that's what it means to be a servant. Didn't Christ say the greater thou art, the more of a servant you're supposed to be? But what does that mean in real life? How do you serve a person that's supposed to be under you? This is how you serve a person. They need your power. They need your inspiration. Isn't that what's supposed to make you the superior person in the household? It's supposed to be because you have greater experience and greater understanding in how to fight battles. Isn't that what it is? Or is it just because you're a man? Well, I can't because I'm a man and you ain't. The end. Because the Bible said so. That don't work, bro. It's right here in the book. It's right here in the book. I can prove it. This is why you have to follow me. Adam was made first. Then Eve. It's science. There you go. Throw some Anchorman in there.
It's not convincing.
We made the Eiffel Tower of brawn and steel and metal. That's the thinking. That's the excuse. Why people gotta lock in. But that's not what the scriptures show us.
Somebody else with a beard did great things.
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody else with a beard did great things.
Yes.
Not me.
And I'm part of that species.
Somebody else with a beard did great things. And I too have a beard.
Yes.
So you better follow.
I have the capacity to grow one. But listen. Read verse 2 again.
Come. Job chapter 26 and verse 2 reads, How hast thou helped him that is without power?
Him, her. This is what brotherhood looks like. This is what being a good husband looks like. This is what being a brother looks like. How have you helped a person that doesn't have power?
It's the epitome of brotherhood.
That is the epitome of brotherhood.
Because Christ was the epitome of this example.
And what this does, this type of thinking forces purity of what? Of intent. Or exposes your lack of love and your lack of care. Because if all you've done is sat back here and did a couple conversations, pulled a couple verses of how wicked a person is, how they're lazy and slothful, that's not enough. Like I've told brothers for years, just because you can see that a person is off doesn't make you smart, doesn't make you special, doesn't make you of any value.
Captain Obvious.
They're wicked. You are wicked. You're not changing. And what a lot of people don't change. If you're a counselor, and if you have any type of ability to develop somebody, you have to find it in you to help inspire somebody else. But if we don't like doing that, it's because we really don't have love in ourselves. We don't have love for our people. Because it takes love to sit back here and develop somebody that doesn't have power. Because when people show that they don't have strength, when people show that they don't try to fight, then that disgust and hatred oozes off of us. A lot of times we hate the people that can't fix the things that we are already good at fixing. Yes, sir.
Definition of power.
Nah, okay. Unless it's super good, I don't really think we need it. What's that? Is it a good one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Power definition number 4. Faculty of the mind.
There you go.
As manifested by a particular mode of operation. As the power of thinking and the reasoning power.
So, read verse 2 again.
Come. Job chapter 26 and verse 2 reads, How hast thou helped him that is without power?
So, how have you helped him that is without what, Naga?
Faculty of the mind. As manifested by a particular mode of operation.
What have you done to help somebody who mentally can't figure it out? What have you done to help somebody who doesn't have the mental strength to fix what's inside of them. This is what the Most High in Christ is looking at us, all of us who say we're leaders, all of us who say we are heads of household. This is how we're being judged. Because we're obviously implying that we are capable to be leaders. But if we're capable leaders, then what are we doing to sit back here and deal with the kid who doesn't have discipline, the kid who's overly emotional, doesn't have self-control, the wife who can't fight her battles, who doesn't have it in her to see the good in things, doesn't have it in her to fight what's inside of her? What are you prepared to do to help remedy that? More times than not, your presence is needed. Your physical presence is needed to help show a person how to fix what's inside of them until they fix it. But this is what aggravates men every day at this home. That I have to sit back here and set aside my wishes and my pace so that somebody else can figure it out. We hate that. My pace has to be interrupted. My freedom and time has to be taken because this cat can't figure it out. And we think that Christ is with that type of thinking? What are we thinking? What are we doing? But once again, this verse hits. Read it again from the top, and we're going to keep rolling.
Job chapter 26 and verse 2 reads, How hast thou helped them that is without power?
Who have you helped, and what have you done to help people that don't have the mental ability to fight what's inside of them? Read on.
How savest thou the arm that have no strength?
What have you done to help save somebody who wasn't strong enough to save themselves? How hard have you worked to help strengthen somebody who just can't figure out how to be strong himself? How have you committed yourself to the people that are close enough to you to help get the most out of them because they can't do it themselves? It just lets us know these needs, the needs of other people, the weaknesses of other people, continue to show how selfish we are and how hateful we are and how slothful we are. And how we're okay with teaching the Bible and doing a little whoop-de-whoop and giving a little counsel and let me give you some verses on this. But this concept exposes that we're not willing to go the extra mile for your brother. And this is why Christ explained what? If your brother wants you to ask you to go a mile, you're supposed to go twain. Now we understand why Christ is explaining these concepts his way, because it's in the Old Testament, but you got to dig a little more deeper. And he's going at the root of us. We don't want to go the extra mile for our brother, because if you keep every day going the extra mile for your brother, you're going to look up and realize you didn't have time for who? Yourself. And that's what people don't want to come to grips with. And because of that, and because we don't want to give up our time, and we don't want to live a life that's predicated on putting ourselves last, this is why we're not friends with the Most High. And this is why the Spirit isn't with us. When we sat back here and had a conversation around 3 months ago about certain questions people had that they needed to figure out what it takes to get close to the Most High, what it takes to not be a dirtbag. The answers are right here. We've been going over these concepts for 2 months, 3 months. It's as clear as day. Am I correct? He lets us know why we're not what we think we are, why our evaluations of ourselves are really off. Because a lot of times we're not humble enough and selfless enough to give the people who need more the more that they need. Yes, inside of us we're takers. Well, let's continue.
Verse 3. How hast thou counseled him that have no wisdom?
How have you counseled him?
And made it clear.
Not the fact that you counseled him. It's one thing to tell somebody that doesn't have wisdom, they don't have wisdom. But you're being looked at how you did it. Did you do it angrily? Were you short and curt with your counsel? Were you angry behind having to repeat yourself multiple times? I thought Christ said, forgive that brother what? Obviously that brother doesn't have wisdom. Obviously that person doesn't have wisdom. Obviously the wife doesn't have the wisdom if she keeps making the same mistake over and over and over again. So the question is, how do you counsel people with no wisdom? Are you always yelling? Are you always angry? Are you always hesitant and having to repeat yourself?
But at the same simultaneously, when it's your time to get checked, you can't take any bass, any vocal inflection, any direct conversation. No roundabout. We're not going roundabout, bro. We're going direct.
Yep.
We don't have time. We got an hour. Yep. So I'm gonna be direct.
Yep.
You can't take any direct conversation. You can't take any brutal honesty.
Yep.
But when it comes time for you to counsel, you can't see where they can't take a
It's all merciless.
That's crazy, bro.
But this is us. This is us to the T. How hast thou counseled him that hath no wisdom? How? What spirit are you in when you're counseling somebody with no wisdom? How willing are you to take the time they need to figure it out?
Are you disgusted or not?
That's the point.
It's as simple as that.
Are you disgusted with the work it takes to rehabilitate people that have no wisdom, that can't figure it out? And more times than not, we are disgusted at people who can't figure things out. There is a hatred and a disgust for the amount of work you got to go through to help another person out. And then we sit back here, but we tell ourselves, I counseled this brother X amount of times. He just don't want it. She just don't want it. What that does, that gets you off the hook. So you don't got to deal with and be accountable for your own actions, for your own hatred, for your own lack of patience. And then you wonder why the Most High don't work with you. And He doesn't bless the work of your hands the way you think you should. If you're asking yourself, how can the Most High don't bless me? The question is this: how have thou counseled him that hath no wisdom? How have you helped somebody that has no power? How have you saved somebody who has no strength to save themselves? Right on.
Come. And how hast thou plentifully declared the thing as it is?
So what is he saying? How many times are you able to bring it out to somebody?
Clearly.
Clear. How willingly are you willing to repeat yourself? Because when we start having to repeat ourselves, then the nigga comes out.
Yeah.
Then the real you comes out. How many times you got to say the same thing over and over and over before you start wanting to quit on people? But then you want the Most High not to quit on you. You want mercy. I was just a young boy. I didn't know nothing. I just got weak to it. I was weak to it. I was in my flesh. I said weak to it. I was on purpose. I said it on purpose. I was weak to it. I was weak to it. I sinned. I was a scared little boy. I didn't know no better. We had all those excuses for ourselves, but we are so merciless, and we're not willing to plentifully give people the opportunities they need as many times as necessary to figure things out. And it exposes why the Spirit isn't with us. And that's the scary reality about us. And then once again, the Spirit of wisdom won't enter through you unless you're pure. Our anger and resentment towards counseling and rehelping and reconsidering shows our lack of pureness in our work. It's the same thing with our wives. While we don't have the capacity to keep extending out to our husbands, keep loving our husbands despite their mistakes, it's still evilness of intent. This is why Christ said it was never meant to be that the husband and wife aren't together. He said because of the hardness of your heart is why the relationship doesn't work out. The hardness of your heart is a lack of purity and intent. We lack the ability to see the good in our mate. That's hardness of heart. And because we lack the capacity to see the good in our mate, is why the Spirit isn't with us. But we want the Lord to see the purity in us despite our shortcomings. And there's where the hypocrisy comes in.
And then we don't have so much time. The last class was called "To Die Without Compassion," or "Too Little, Too Late," whatever it was. I don't know. I had to make it simple.
Too little time.
Yeah, whatever it was. I don't know.
That's not simple. That is not a simple title. That is a very complex title.
Listen, the whole point of it was you only got so much time to show compassion out. You only got so much time.
God.
The title was the title.
God.
You only have so much time.
It's deep as hell. It was so deep.
That wasn't the goal line.
God, I get you.
We only have so much time to show the Most High that we care for the sheep.
God. Because as we're going into these verses, we're seeing this is what the Most High is looking at us on. This is how we're being judged. This is what we keep teaching in, man. Just how many Israelites out here understand this? You know how much ego comes off the Jew when we know the law, we know the Torah, we know our history? You got all these Israelite books out, and you can't tell Israel nothing.
Hiding behind that.
You can't tell Israel nothing. This is why Paul says, knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifies. In the process of teaching and working with somebody, really reveals where you got to get fixed at. You don't really see your flaws until you have to be responsible for developing other people. Then you see your shortcomings, your impatience, your anger, your hatred, your black-heartedness, your inability to want to sit back here and give to somebody that you think is taking too long to pick it up, to fix it. That's when the weakness in you is revealed. And this is why how we grow as individuals is based on how many people we have to learn to be responsible for. The Most High brings that wife to you to teach you about you. Those children to show you about you. The brothers that are around you are to reveal things about you. It ain't the other way around. Men are going to change when they want to change. They're going to fix what they want to fix. If they're here, whether they're there, you can't control none of that. So in the midst of men or women deciding what they want to do, you're on the hook for how you react to those people that want to change or don't want to change. That has nothing to do with you. But your conduct is being evaluated. How you look at them, how you think about them, how much energy you exert into them. And exerting energy is not about giving away free shit. Exerting energy is development, correction, being an example. That's the work. Because Israel wants to spend money and throw money at problems. That ain't the answer. Or we think showing love and just giving them space and not having to argue and correct. That ain't love either. The work is developing every day and working on somebody's shortcoming and finding joy in it. But we don't like that. Because it's easier to sit back and watch your own TV show than counsel with a person about what they don't want to fix. But let's continue.
Come. Verse 4. To whom has thou uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee?
What spirit came from you when you were uttering words to somebody else? What spirit were you in when you were correcting? That's what he's saying. What spirit were you in when you were chastising? What spirit were you in when your rib was sitting back here and needed your attention and you were tired and you didn't feel like counseling that day? What spirit were you in? This is what the Most High is doing with us. When you're on a road trip to Del Rio and brothers is tripping, what do? What spirit are you in when you're corrected? What spirit are you in when you're tired and you beat up and you got to carry somebody else's problems? How do you feel? And this is how we're being judged. Just know that. Let that verse go and go to Job chapter 37 and 19. And what we start to realize is in the midst of the Most High looking at our intentions behind counseling, our intentions behind dealing with issues with amongst our people, whether it's brothers or family, This is what the Most High starts to show about what's inside of us while we're trying to quote unquote give and counsel and help. Read verse 19, Job 37 and 19.
Job chapter 37, verse 19. Teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness.
Don, it's hard to give pure counsel when you're angry.
Darkness.
It's hard to sit back here and give a person motivating words and strengthening confirmation when you got nothing but hatred in you. When you're vexed, when you're aggravated. All that aggravation and frustration, I've had a long day. Call it what it is. When can brothers do this for me? When brothers are calling me and venting about their day, just say I got darkness in me today. I don't want to hear I'm going through so many things and there's so many challenges I'm going through in my life. Can we just say for the record, I've got darkness in me because of these things I'm going through? How come nobody says that? How come nobody says, yeah, I'm going through this time, I'm stressed out, so now there's darkness in me? Because people, when they say I'm stressed out, is that just justification to be cruel to other people?
No, it's the victim complex. I'm feeding the victim.
Listen, there's one thing to be stressed. It's another thing to exert darkness on the people around you. Right? Yeah. Everybody deals with stress every single day of the week. Stress is a part of life. We had a class about eustress and about having the ability to sit back here and manage stress and not to let stress change what you do every day. But it happens all the time. Because stress is an excuse to be dark. Stress is not an excuse, a justification to allow darkness to flow through my spirit and to negatively affect everybody else around me. And once again, it's very hard to order your thoughts when there's darkness in there. You know how many times I've counseled brothers, we've counseled brothers, and sometimes brothers don't even forget, they forget how dark their sayings were.
Yeah.
What's that? What the brother said this and says, no I didn't. And I'm like, damn, I've actually asked brothers, like, damn, do they know? Do they remember the darkness that they're saying? Or are they lying to us? Are they lying that they don't remember what they said? Or if they're just so much full, they got so much negative and hate in them, they don't remember the hate that came out. I don't have the answer to that question.
It's a grand old question.
I don't know. Are they diabolically smart? And they're just knowing how to evade statements, and they're just, I plead the fifth.
You can't prove it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth. I plead the fifth. Are they pleading the fifth, or do they really not remember how negative their words were and how toxic the effect was of it? I don't know. But I do know this. What's verse 19 again? Read it.
Job 37 and 19. It says, teach us what we shall say unto him.
A lot of times, brothers need to know exactly what to say, because when you got negative in you, it's hard to get, when you have negative inside of you, it's hard to convey pure statements, helpful statements, positive statements. This is why reports are always, for certain people, you always got bad reports. Because they can't control and filter the darkness inside of them. Teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. When you got negative in you, it's hard to sit back here and come up with a polished response to a customer, a polished response to a wife and a brother. How do you do it when there's so much negative in you?
Even when they're speaking about your day. Because if the darkness is in your mind, even how you describe how your day is going is a completely skewed perspective. You can have someone go through the exact same day and they tell the story from a completely different lens.
Okay.
And that's purely off of how they look at life.
Okay. And that's what he's saying. Listen, all that darkness is what skews the communication.
Yeah.
If you're going to fix who you are and how you counsel, you got to fix how you look at life in general. How you look at your condition. How you look at the people around you. If you want to change and establish purity of communication, purity of counsel, then you have to learn purity of looking at your circumstance, purity of looking at the person that you work with every day. Because if I can look at the person that I work with every day in a pure light, the words will follow. The problem is, we try to rehearse the right thing to say at the right time, but it's hard to maintain that acting classes out.
Yeah.
We're not professional actors, so we can't hide it every damn day. The real side comes out.
Because
This is why you can hide it for a couple days, couple weeks, and then El Diablo comes out. The real darkness. It comes out. You can't help it. Because that's how you look at people. How you look at people is revealed by how you talk.
Yeah.
This is what he's saying. That's the question. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The negative conversation or the negative way you look at a person? It's you look at a person negative. There's darkness in you based on how you look at people, and then all of a sudden the words come out.
And darkness is also ignorance too. Because
And darkness is darkness too. I want to make sure. Darkness is darkness.
Well, yeah, true. Darkness is darkness, but it's from the ignorance of the
I'm not
book.
letting Jake off the hook, guys.
No, I'm gonna say, listen.
Evil is evil out.
I got to express this.
Evil ain't good out.
The ignorance is I'm not aware of how Christ is looking at me.
Good.
Bros.
Okay, that's the ignorance
That's the
you're talking about. Okay.
The ignorance isn't, he didn't know no better. The ignorance is, I'm ignorant of the book. I don't know how Christ is judging me.
Yes.
People really don't think Christ is going to judge them for that.
And if maybe that's why we have classes, because hopefully if we explain the condition that we go through, maybe we'll fight harder to see and look at people better.
I think I have license to look at somebody crazy. I have license to look at people negative. I have license to speak venomously because I feel that if I go to work, Christ is going to smile at me, even though I have a venomous spirit.
Smile. Yeah.
He picked the box.
He's my son. He's my
picked the
son. He
box.
worked.
He sold the oil.
He worked so hard.
He went up the stairs.
Yes. It was
drove
3
the
stories. I know it was 3
He drove the
stories.
truck. Let all the venom go.
Yeah.
We're ignoring that he's offended.
Yes.
Because it's convenient to ignore that he's offended.
Yeah.
It's willful ignorance.
Yeah.
But if we take into account how offended he is, then I understand that my venom is not justified.
Yeah. And once again, just getting back to the point, the solution to how to fix negative communication is to look at the people without darkness. The question: why is this brother always disrespectful when he's giving orders? Because he has dark thoughts. It's that simple. This is why there's disrespect. This is why a brother can't take a check. Because he's dark inside. He's hateful inside. It's not, the word slip. That word slip crap, that's cap. That's cap. It's a slip. It's the word. I didn't mean that.
Oh, you did.
Sorry if what I said offended you. No, you said hurtful things because hurt, negative, and evil is inside of you. That's the answer. It's not deeper than that. This is why, in verse 19, the request is that somebody helps give me the message I have to relay. Because if I'm going to relay the message, it's going to be negative.
Wonder.
Yeah.
This is on Darian's point. Give me Proverbs 15 and verse 28. About that ignorance. There's a willing for ignorance, rather. And that ignorance, like Darian was bringing out, is the lack of studying how the mind of the Most High works, how he processes information, how he wants us to talk, communicate, reason with the people around us. Read that real quick.
Proverbs chapter 15, verse 28. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
What makes a righteous heart is not that you're perfect in how you operate day to day. It's the fact that you know and can acknowledge I have deficiencies. I have holes. So I need to solve these holes in my character. I need to solve these holes with my malignant root. And study how to operate. Study how can I be around people and conduct myself appropriately so that I'm not offending everybody. I think it was last week on Friday, we went into how Paul was saying it's an exercise to not offend man and the Most High.
Yep.
That exercise, I'm constantly, okay, I shouldn't have said that right here. Let me go back in the Word and figure out how can I brought the situation out smoother, with more salt, with more grace? How can I not keep rubbing people the wrong way with the words that come out of my mouth? He says, but the wicked don't think that way. The wicked heart, read on.
But the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things.
The mouth of the wicked goes hand in hand with the mouth of the fool that you read in Ecclesiastes, who can't see the season, who can't see timing, who can't see the
good in the people that they work with.
Exactly.
Because that evil and that darkness comes from a place where they only see the bad in the person.
Exactly.
It starts with that.
Yeah.
Listen, before a man or a woman can learn how to skillfully communicate and how to say the right word at the right time,
yeah,
you have to be able to see good in the person that you're working with.
You can't be hate there.
There can't be hatred. There has to be pureness of vision with the people that you deal with every day. If you can't see the good in the person, you can't say you better not say shit.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come out negative.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when you don't say anything, it's going to ooze off you anyway. So what's the point? The remedy is to see the good in the people that you work with and attack. You study so that you can attack the negative, evil thoughts that roll through your head about the person that you work with, that you secretly hold inside, that you grudge, that you hold in your mind every day. You keep these negative thoughts in your mind until you can't control what comes out of your mouth. That's what happens all the time. You hold this evil in, and then it just comes out in a negative way.
And I really wasn't serious about fixing the problem in the first place.
Because
if that problem's easy to fix. That's as simple as you get a clipboard, write the person's name, and then you write down 50 things good about that person. And then when you have the spirit here and you look at everything good about the person,
it's hard. Remember, it's hard to think good things when you hate them. You're right.
It's 2 hours of sitting down and thinking.
But I can be on my phone for 2 hours, enjoying my life.
You get a clipboard, you write 25 things about this person that's good. Then a couple days later, 25 more things about this person that's good. And then you write 25 things about yourself that's bad. That's how you even out the bullshit.
25 things that you that's bad?
Yeah, that's how you do it. You read yourself, your name, and then all the bad shit about you. And the brother's name and all the good shit about him. You're like, oh, okay, I can do it for another 2 hours.
You better keep adding more numbers.
You have to add to it. You have to add to it.
I don't think 25 is enough for the
I'm saying 50, 50.
You better put 100. You better put 100 on there.
You should do more. I'm going to say 25 for at least. That's the minimum you can do.
Yeah.
If you can't think of 25 things good about somebody in the camp, you're the devil. As simple as that.
Me and horns are growing out there.
You woke up like this. Oh, shalom. Yehovah Hashem, Shabbat. Like, bro, come on.
You gotta shave them down like Hellboy out. They roll out like this, like hell, like big as hell. Hellboy. I said Hellboy. You gotta catch it. They roll like this, Hellboy. They roll. They're like his horns were huge, still like this. You had to shave them down every couple weeks. Like a longhorn. That's what I'm saying. They roll, they turn like this. Anyway, I caught it.
But it's not hard. Every day before you go to work, you look at those good qualities. So you're looking for good qualities in the person. Every day you're searching for the good qualities in that person. Yeah. On top of scriptures, if you're serious. If you're not serious, you're not going to do it.
Then all of a sudden you're going to be like, you're going to tell somebody, I need somebody to tell me some good information so I can talk to him because I can't talk to him. Yeah. My speech is cluttered. My thoughts are cluttered. When you have, he's letting you know, when you have negative thoughts in your head, you can't possibly process the right thing to say at the right time. It ain't in you.
Because wisdom is kind to me.
Kind. The spirit of wisdom is kind. It's kind. Thank you. That's how you know a person is detached from the spirit. Because they can't find the words because there's darkness. It's not like it's like you have a hollow spirit. It's either the spirit of Christ in you or you got darkness in you.
It's one or the other.
It's one or the other. You're in the middle. No, there's darkness. There's darkness and vice. And that darkness and vice affects your communication and your thinking. Yep. This is what he's saying. This is why there's always a scenario where there's bad reports about bad communication. Yep. Whether they realize that the communication is evil or not, it's there.
Well, there's really poor counseling. Poor quality counseling.
Poor counseling. Surface ABC
You're counseling with cookies. Cookie counseling. Come on, Israelites to do if you do this, I'll give you this counsel.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying my cookie counsel.
And we're gonna explain because there's different type of counselors. There's different negative spirits
There's
behind
enabling counselors.
counselors, and that's why I don't want to go into it yet. Because there's more as we get into the class. Today's class was about what, or is about what? It's those selfish counselors.
Yeah.
It's counselors with selfish intention.
I'm not going to go to, but there's variations of different styles of counseling that the Most High doesn't authorize.
God.
And so,
Because there's darkness in you behind those counselors.
yeah. So there's the never look at me counsel.
But we're going to. That's what I'm trying to get you not to do. Don't do that. I'm trying to let the Bible explain it. Because listen, our experience tells us we know what type of counselors there are. That's why we have. I have 3 more classes for this. How about that? He's giving up all the information.
No, it's not. Oh, no.
What is he doing?
There's more. There's always more.
Still. Let's just. He's giving up the game, man. Without the information, we had to build the story up. He's giving the hustle up by the Bible hustle out. I'm messing with it. So, it was Proverbs 15.
Yeah, it was probably 15.
You want it again?
I just want to hear it again because you got kind of.
Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things.
God, because that darkness is out of them, and it's impossible to get the message to be pure. You can't explain and teach a pure message when there's hatred in it. That's the point.
I'll never forget. There was one time Dog had us get there was a complaint journal. It was like 4 years ago. You had to get a composite journal, and if you had an issue with it, brother, you had to write the issue down. Write the issue down and write 10 scriptures about how this brother transgressed in the Bible or something like that. And there was a particular issue I'm not going to go into. A brother did, and I was so vexed. I wrote the issue. I wrote the brother's name down. I said, this brother did X, Y, Z. Then I started writing the verses, and every verse that came up was just checking my outlook. Yeah. I was just checking how I was off. I'm like, bro, this is not accomplishing the goal of incrimination that I was trying to write down. I was trying to find 10 verses to prove how this is the most wicked guy walking on the earth right now. And I just found out I'm the most wicked guy. Now we got an issue. But it was a humbling experience. Like, you open the book looking to incriminate someone, the only person getting incriminated is you.
If you're doing it with the right intent, or if you're open enough to allow correction to work on it.
Exactly.
The problem is we're such liars. We're liars, bro. We lie all the time. We tell ourselves we're not the bad guys that we are.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you can't see things right. Then the intentions are pure or impure. Then the spirit just gets the hell out of the room. He gets the hell out of the building.
Yeah.
That spirit is free flowing. You see all that crap in you? It's getting the hell out of here. You go to another apartment.
Yeah.
Another house, huh? There are any other houses in San Antonio that got pure intention?
Yeah.
Does the spirit got to leave the entire city to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Here's what it is, man. So, with that being the case, read Job 37 again in verse 19, and we're going to go back to the next verse.
Job 37 and 19.
Yes, sir. No, I got the next. Don't worry about it. Okay.
It says, teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness.
We can't order our speech for reason of darkness. It's hard to give positive, pure Bible answers when you got nothing but filth in you. Hard, it's impossible. You can fake it for a little bit, but you can't sustain it. Let that verse go. And go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 14 through 17.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 14.
Yes.
For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable.
And this is what we're always battling against. We're always battling against those mortal thoughts that are constantly riding us. And he says the thoughts are miserable. What does that mean? More times than not, we are hyper-focused on what we don't have in our life. We're hyper-focused on how sad our life is, or how all the things we don't have. We're so hyper-focused on what we don't have out the deal, what we're missing, what's not there in our life. And the more most of us hold on to the misery that's in our life, what's going on in there? It shouldn't even be that way. We're in damn class. Sorry, y'all. This is a bunch of noise that shouldn't be happening right now. So, it says the thoughts of mortal men are miserable. The problem is we're so fixated on what we don't have, it starts to recondition our mind that you got to have to be happy. And we start focusing our mind on getting things and gaining things. We're also fixing our mind on what? Taking from other people and manipulating counsels to go our way. This is the scary thing about a miserable, unhappy mind. A miserable mind is a mind that's not happy with the condition he got in his life. So when I don't have the things I want in my life, you start trying to program your life and your mind to get the things that you think you're missing out in your life. And when that becomes your focus is now mostly about taking and not giving. This is why, listen, Israel has told me this to my face. I can't take another loss. Then you're not in the business of serving God then. I can't take another loss?
Well, one more.
I can't take one more loss. If you can't take one more loss, then you can't take serving the Lord. But I say that because that's not just one person. One person has had the courage to say that. We sit back here and go through our life that way. I can't take another L. So if you can't take another L, that means what are you taking? You're taking W's.
Yeah.
Well, how does a man take W's?
Forcing the course.
A force in the course. Now all of a sudden I'm manipulating counsel. I'm pushing people that are here to serve the Lord my direction. This is why I'm not even lying to you. In our camp from here on out, we're not going to have emotionally insecure guys running the camp. Because people that are emotionally insecure, all they're going to do is feed their flesh and feed their ego. And manipulate scenarios to make them feel better about themselves. If you can't learn to be happy with what you got, you don't deserve to be in a position of leadership. Because if every thought that you got is based on what you don't have, then eventually you're gonna feed that and you're gonna take. And the higher you at rank, having with this emotionally insecure, unhappy with your life type of vibe, listen, we should have put that on the list.
Yeah, we missed that one.
Listen, but we will have it. It says it in an indirect way. We need to be more direct.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with what the Most High gave you, you can't lead. Because all you're going to be wired to do is take and manipulate and use so that you can feel better about what your life is about.
And justify it with scriptures.
And justify it with scriptures. Because I know Bible verses. But not realizing the intent is dirty. The intent is impure. And this is why so many of our camps fall apart. Because you got men who really want something out the deal at the top. So they maneuver and work their way to get to the top to get what they want out the deal.
So if I get there, I have all this.
Then I can sit back and now I have this narcissistic supply.
Yeah.
Now I got supply to my narcissism.
Yep.
Now I can pull verses to justify things going my way. Read that verse again.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9, verse 14. For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable.
And it starts with what I don't have. It's the obsession and the sadness that comes behind what I don't have and what I think I should have. This is when greed kicks in.
I want more.
This is when men take more ribs, take more opportunities, because there's a hollowness in yourself because you're just not happy enough with what the Most High gave you already. Then it's about accumulation. And then accumulation makes you satiate you until it doesn't.
For a certain period.
Until it doesn't. Then you need more to satiate you. And then when you lose, you're not happy anymore. Then you got to get more. You got to get more to recoup what you lost. Then your counsel and your thinking all revolves around that. That's the truth. That's Israel 101. Read that from the top.
For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices but uncertain.
Our devices are uncertain. I mean, they're uncertain that they're going to work. Because most of the time, our devices of a miserable person benefit who? Only you.
Personal vengeance.
You know when devices work? When it works for the body. Plans and devices and ideas, they work, at least in the spiritual realm, when the plans and ideas benefit the body more than you. The devices are uncertain when they benefit you more than the body. Because there's no guarantee the Most High is going to back that plan that feeds your misery, that fuels the hollowness inside of yourself. You can't guarantee the Most High is going to feed that or fuel that or back that. But you know how I know Christ is going to be with us? When we're making a plan to build the body, develop the nation, put the people first, then I know the Most High is going to be with it. Those devices are certain. So when you're sitting back here and making moves and plans, and they're about benefiting you and propping you up, you know what the truth is? It's a 50-50 chance it's going to work. I can't tell you. That is an uncertainty about the possibility of that working in your favor. But you'll know that it will work if you're making moves that benefit somebody else over yourself. This is how the Spirit starts to correct us. But continue.
Verse 15. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind, that museth upon many things.
The problem is the mind constantly muses on what they don't have. And that's when you have unhappiness and sadness and depression. Depression and unhappiness and the idea of not being fulfilled is the musing, the constantly thinking and the pressing down in your mind about what you don't have in your life, what you're deprived of, what's not fair, the freedoms that you desire. The freedoms that you desire is what presses down on your mind. And it presses down on your mind long enough to when your counsel and your communication starts growing and building to feed what you think you deserve. And this is what us as counselors have to be so focused on. What is my intention when I'm counseling the people around me? What's in my head? What is it that I really want? Why am I guiding this person towards this direction? Is it for me or is it just for their spirit?
And if you were sincere, you'd ask.
You should ask yourself those questions.
But you ask yourself, but if you're really uncertain, and you're not sure, there's a little doubt in you, you ask a confidant that's been training you from the beginning. I'm going this direction. I'm trying to counsel the spirit in this direction. What do you think about this? This direction I'm pushing it. But
this is what you're supposed to do every time you counsel the people around you. After you counsel, you should sit back here and call it up.
Get a breakdown.
And make sure that there was clarity of direction. There was clarity of intent. And then you can always come back and clean it up. You know, when we get counsel, after shit falls apart, I gotta talk to you. I gotta talk to you now. Like, counsel. Damn, you gotta talk to me now. Why do you have to be now? The sky's falling. There's a bunch of chicken Georges here. The sky's falling. The sky's falling. The sky's falling. Like, what's going on here? Right? Why is the sky falling?
All of a sudden.
Why did everything just de-escalate so quickly? Because nobody counsels when it matters. Nobody communicates before the bad happens.
Which is pride.
Because you know why nobody counsels? Because I've been musing on what I want. So I'm testing angles to try to get what I want. And then when things, then I'm testing it and I'm exploiting and I'm trying to do things that work for me. And then when it doesn't work, I got counsel. Let's counsel. I tried to do this and this didn't work.
Answer your phone.
How do we not answer this phone? This is how it goes.
Phone's been on for like
But the problem is the counsel is bad. The counsel was bad because it was selfishly intended and it blows up in your face. Now we gotta have this 5-hour talk on Sabbath.
Yeah.
Sabbath burnout or a Sunday burnout. And I'm for it. But we can all save ourselves stress if there's honesty and upfrontness from the beginning. That's the point. So once again, the mind is constantly musing on what it don't have. And then the mind starts to give in. And then counsel start adapting to what you've been focusing on, what you don't have in your life. Then the manipulation starts to come through to get what you want out the deal. And that's when things blow up. Especially when you're negatively affecting the people around you that you say you care about. But you really want to use them to get what you want. That's the truth too. But continue.
Verse 16. And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon the earth.
The reason that we hardly guess aright the operation of how things go on earth is because most of the time it's about what we want and not about what the person needs. Not about their development. We're constantly guessing wrong because we're always involving us in the equation. We always want to make the person that we're counseling's reaction about us. You know how many times we guess wrong when it comes to the development of the person that we work with every day? Because you know why? Because all we're focused on is how this person looks at me. How this person responded to me. How disrespectful this person was. How I saw how this person looked at me. I saw the hate. That's how we constantly guess aright. Meaning not right. Aright is wrong. We're hardly right. Why? Because our thinking is predicated on how others make me feel. I judge you based on how you make me feel versus how the Most High wants me to feel. We don't think that way. We think ego-based. And because we're ego-based, we hardly guess aright. The scripture says, he that despiseth not man but the Most High. We don't think about that in the midst of correction. We can't get past the disrespect. We can't get past your response to me trying to help you. And this is why we always fall short. I tried to help this person and they hurt me, so now I don't try again. That's bad too. I tried to consider and I tried to counsel this person and this person took advantage of my kindness. Now we're not gonna have that relationship no more. That's just as dark as anybody. Because we're supposed to forgive our brother 70 times 7 to give them a chance to make it right. But that also requires love to come from us. So anyway, read that verse again, verse 16. We're going to try to get out of this in a decent time. Read on.
And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon the earth. And with labor do we find the things that are before us.
It takes many years a lot of times to figure out how to look at things the right way. And this is another reason why we constantly go over topics like this. Because it takes years of self-evaluation to even realize how self-centered we are. To realize how one-focused we are. How we're really in it for ourselves. It takes years for a lot of Israelites to figure that out.
One-way guys.
Where a lot of us are one way. And it takes many years to figure out that our counsel is one way. That's what hypocrisy is. It takes us a long time to figure out that we are one way. And then it takes even longer to break that in us. And this is why we're in here 10, 15, 20 years still trying to figure it out. But this is why that has to be the focus. Because without that, the Spirit will never be with you. And you won't be the Most High's friend. And you'll be a commandment keeper without the Most High in your life. And that's what you don't want. Do you? Let's continue.
But the things that are in heaven, who have searched out? And thy counsel, who have known? Except thou give wisdom.
So he says, you're not going to understand the counsel of the Most High unless the Most High sends you wisdom.
So he sends that purity.
But that's no. He sits back here and rewards you for your purity.
Oh, purity before the wisdom.
Yes.
Wow.
You got to have purity for the spirit of wisdom to be in you.
Wow. I'll give you the wisdom, but you got to be purified.
That's why he said the people of pure heart were his prophets.
It's crazy.
All right or wrong. We read that in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7. So he's telling us, listen, read verse 17.
Verse 17. And thy counsel who have known.
How are you going to know how the Most High thinks unless what?
Except thou give wisdom.
Except the Most High gives you wisdom. Read on.
And send thy Holy Spirit from above.
But how does he send the Holy Spirit from above? Your intentions have to be pure. And you can't have this darkness in you flowing through you and expect the Most High to reward you with the Holy Spirit. This ties in exactly with St. John 15 and St. John 16. And this is why Christ came down. To give us clarity on what it takes to gain the Holy Spirit. Because without the Holy Spirit, you can't get to the kingdom. How about that? It's very clear, man. I hope we take this time to let this stick. If we don't attack our intentions and our motivations and our outlook towards the people we work with, we're not gonna get close to the Father, and we're gonna continue to be poor counselors, poor leaders, and poor representatives of the Most High's work. We can't have that. We cannot keep playing with this if we want to see the actual benefit of the commitment that we bring to the table every single day. Why would y'all want to just work every day as hard as you do and run in circles? And just operating in circles. If you're going to commit to this level, let's try to get to the top and get the goal and get the reward of the Spirit of the Holy Spirit being inside of you and fighting to maintain it. Because once you get it, you got to maintain it. So I don't want to have this thinking in your mind that once you get it, you got it. You got to get it by pureness of intention, pureness of thought, pureness of mind, and you maintain it by pureness of thought, pureness of mind, pureness of intention, on top of the law and all the other stuff that we got to follow. This is what it takes. And if you want to sit back here and impact your nation positively, your counsel with the people have to reflect that pureness that's inside of you. The only thing that should matter to your people or in the council is their actual growth. Too many times we want to give Israel growth, give them opportunity to grow and gain an advantage behind it.
Yeah.
And the Most High sees that. He sees how we want the advantage on top of, they got some breakdowns too.
Yeah.
That's not what he's going to honor in us. He's not going to bless us thinking that way. Continue. Matter of fact, we finished verse 17. That's all I wanted from that verse. Let's get 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 13 through 17. Second Corinthians chapter 3, verse 13 through 17.
2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 13. And that is Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished.
So listen, he's saying when Moses was leading Israel, he had a veil over his face because the many times he went to Sinai and talked to the Most High, or talked to Christ, he was illuminated. And there was a virtue to him that Israel couldn't digest dealing with him on a daily basis. He had to put a veil over his face to cover that light that emanated off of him. Okay, read on.
But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil, untaken away in the reading.
So in the reading, what out? We read on?
Of the Old Testament.
Read verse 14 again.
Verse 14. But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil, untaken away.
But what he's saying is, Israel even now operates with this veil over their faces. We operate with the law, we operate with the scriptures, but we haven't gotten through this disconnect between us and the Heavenly Father. That veil is like a separation. We've gone generation to generation, knowing the laws, statutes, and commandments, but never attacking that darkness inside of us. Never really attacking that hatred. Never really attacking the impureness of thought and impureness of motivations behind our actions. That manipulative side of us to this day. Read on.
But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil, untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament.
So is Paul saying the Old Testament was off and evil? No. It's just the way we process the Old Testament. It's how we look at the law. We've never learned as a nation that the law was the foundation, but the spirit behind our intention in following the law is what we're being judged on. What is our motivation behind following these laws, statutes, and commandments? What is our motivation behind our counseling? What is our motivation behind working on this spirit? What is our motivation behind working with the sick, dealing with the uninformed, dealing with Israel that can't figure it out? Where is our heart behind this entire process? That's what Paul is trying to drive. And that veil is explaining there was this disconnect between the understanding behind what we're doing and how we were interpreting things. And this is why Christ had to come down to give us understanding of what this really was about. And he didn't come to take away the law. He came to give us understanding of the law. But the understanding of the law was to eliminate that darkness in us that was actually that veil separating us from really being potent and from having the Spirit come to us. Read on.
Which veil is done away in Yahushua.
Mm-hmm.
But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart.
Mm-hmm. Now he says when the law is read, the veil is in their heart.
I can't get this one part.
I can't get past just following the information. I can't see past that I actually have to love the people I'm working with. I can't see that it can't be about me every day and how I feel every day. Because the veil is we can't remove self out of the equation. We can't remove ourselves. We can't remove what we're not getting out the deal out of the equation. This is the hardest thing about serving the Most High. We can't remove our emotions, our feelings, what we think we deserve, what we're going through. We can't remove that and be there for our people. That is the veil. And the problem is that we use the law as a cover of our real intention. I am following the law. I know all the laws. I know all the gathering days. I know all this stuff. But I really don't deal with what's inside of me. And people sit back here and look at Paul and say Paul sat back here and his presence and his teaching was about not following the law. It had nothing to do with that. It was attacking the intention behind how we carried ourselves with the law. That's what Paul was attacking the entire New Testament. That's what Christ was teaching and attacking the entire New Testament.
And how he rubbed other people who are trying to get right. Because also, it addresses those points here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you deal with people that are trying to get right and you're really telling them don't serve the Most High, your actions and your conversation, your countenance, your spirit is pushing them away from Christ.
Yeah.
That's the facts. You're pushing the spirits away. That's why it says if you're not gathering, you're scattering. So the sheep are coming to Christ, but because I can't get past me and what I'm not getting, I push the sheep back in the world.
Yeah.
And I expect Christ to be with me.
Yeah.
That's why they had to address this. You're destroying. I'm trying to establish churches, and your conduct is making sheep run from the church.
Yeah.
Now, in the old times,
or what they were, and I don't want to go too deep, much deeper. But they were trying to get Israel that was just learning about the Most High to go into all these specific laws and all that stuff versus getting them to understand what was the most important thing to work on. Because as we're seeing, how long does it take to actually fix the darkness out of us? How long does it take to actually break all this evil out of us? It takes years to fix this. Why slow that process down, given these people that are 30, 35, 40, 25? Why give them all these extra stuff to focus on? Let them focus on how to love. Let that be the focus. It's hard enough to learn how to love than all these other 613 laws that as a culture they've never been around. So let's condense those laws. That's what happened in Acts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's condense how much information we give them to get them to focus on how to break that filth that's inside of them. And get them to work on that. That is the thinking that we have to understand.
That's most essential.
Con.
I think it's pushing what is the most essential thing you need to learn.
Because they already understand how much work it's going to take to get to that point. Love, brotherhood. What is it going? You know what they're trying to figure out? What is it going to take for the Spirit to enter these people?
Yep.
That's the real question. What is it going to take to be awarded the Spirit? We're going to be talking more about this, at least on my side. What is it going to take to be awarded the Spirit? Because that's the goal. The goal is to be awarded the Spirit. And to be able to maintain the Spirit with you. That's the fight. Because in order to do that, it's a perfect reflection of the Most High. We're that in Wisdom Solomon 7. That's the reflection of the Most High. If the Spirit's in me, now I know I'm connected to the Most. That's your confirmation that you're doing the right thing. But that means you're doing the right thing when your intentions are pure towards everybody you come across. And you've learned to conquer that hate in yourself.
That's growth.
No, that means you're in the Spirit.
I'm saying that's a long ways from just being a hateful being.
And also, that Spirit's with you when you don't have any vices in you.
Yeah.
That's work to do. Now, everybody got some shit to do then. That's homework forever.
Yeah.
But once you break those things, now you know you're closely connected to the Father. Okay. So where are we at? We finished
We finished 15.
Okay, let's continue on 16 and 17.
Right. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away.
When we sit back here and get close to Christ, that veil is removed. Now there's an open access to the Heavenly Father. Read on.
Verse 17. Now the Lord is that Spirit.
The Lord is that Holy Spirit. The Lord is that Spirit of wisdom. Read on.
And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty.
There's the liberty. There's the freedom we're looking for. But it's not freedom that's going to be used in a negative way.
Yeah.
Now you're free in Christ to touch and develop whoever you can. Because now, what are you free from? Really? When the Spirit is in you, the Spirit of the Lord is in you, what does that liberty mean?
It means you're free from your vices.
You're free from your vices. You're free from that darkness. You're free from those things. You're free from that veil that disconnects you from the Heavenly Father. Yes.
Free from that guilt.
Well, there's no sin to be guilty of. That's the point. Because that darkness isn't inside you anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like how Adam was when he feared the Most High.
He said, "No. Well, why you say? Why do you say you're naked?" He says, "Why do you say you're naked?"
Yeah.
But before that, he was pure of intent, pure of thought. Yes. Got it. So do we get that? Okay. Let that verse go, and let's go to Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37. And I know we didn't get a lot of verses in today, but it ain't about just bombarding verses, man. It's really about understanding and clarity, man. It's about that. Ecclesiasticus 37 and verse 7. Oh no.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 37, verse 7. Every counselor extolleth counsel.
He says every counselor loves counsel. Every counselor is going to say, yeah, it's about counsel, it's about counsel, it's about counsel, and a multitude of counselors are saying thing. Everybody pushes that angle, right? Read on.
But there is some that counseleth for himself.
There's a lot that counsels for himself. And we explain this. A lot of Israel counsels for them first, the person they're counseling for second. And that's the unfortunate reality because of the sickness that's inside of us. Because of that hatred that's inside of us. Because inside of us, we sit back here and we live that miserable life. Or that perceived miserable life. A perceived miserable life is overly focused on what you don't have out the deal. And when you're focused on what you don't have out the deal, now my counsel is going to be for me. The counsel that I give to other people is going to benefit me getting benefits. And this is why there's so many Israelites who are husbands, who counsel to work on the person's spirit and they gain advantage out of it. Read on. Because the Most High a lot of times puts us in positions, whether it's at home or with the men, to make a choice. Are you going to sit back here and counsel this brother and you get nothing out the deal? Or are you going to counsel it and slant the counsel where it benefits you and makes your life more easy? All of us have to sit back here and ask ourselves that question. Am I going to sit back here and bend setting up for what's right so that I can get something that I want later on that night? Or am I going to stand up for what's right and take the loss? Am I going to sit back here and bend counsel for my comfort? Or am I going to counsel in the right spirit for the right reasons and not worry about what I'm going to lose or not gain on the other side? We do it all the time. Read on.
Verse 8. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he has.
So listen, the verse is telling you as a student, beware of a counselor and know what this guy wants before he starts counseling. So he's letting us know that's a bad counselor.
That's a bad counselor.
And it's a bad counselor that sits back here and counsels for what he needs first. Because then you can sit back here and give you a counselor that can benefit you and him at the same time.
Gotta be a win-win. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
There you go.
I don't see nothing wrong with winning. I'm doing all the spiritual work.
Yep.
I'm in the work.
Yep. Because even that concept, people have used that verse, if I give unto you spiritual things, shall I not reap your carnal, right?
Yeah.
Brothers use that verse to justify you getting something out the deal for the good you do. But if you read down the next two verses, Paul said, listen,
They don't use that.
I didn't do that. He said, other guys did it. I didn't do that. I didn't sit back. I was like, damn, how come none of the generals read the next verse?
Those other guys.
The next verse said, other guys do that, but I don't do that. I don't counsel to get something out the deal. He's like, there's a lot of groups that do that.
Yeah.
Let's pull the verse. I think it's 1 Corinthians 9 or 2 Corinthians 9. I think it's first. What's that? There you go. See, you listen and then read the Bible. You got to read the Bible, man.
I was always giving that to you.
Yeah. Let me see.
That's 1 Corinthians 9:11.
Yeah.
Read verse 11 and 12. 1 Corinthians 9. Hold on a second. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 11 reads, if we have sown unto you spiritual things, it is a great thing if we...
No, that's not what it says. Read it again.
Okay. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things?
Read on.
If others be partakers of this power over you, are not we rather?
He says others use this to their advantage.
Yeah.
Others sit back here and use this idea: if I'm giving you the Spirit, you got to give me something back in return.
Or I'm giving you an investment. I'm giving you your time.
Yes.
He's saying we're more qualified.
Exactly. We're more qualified to ask of that than you, and we don't do that.
Yeah.
Read the next part.
Nevertheless, we have not used this power.
That's how you know there's different levels to counseling.
Yep.
There's different levels to teaching. There's different levels to development. He didn't say that that's the worst thing a person can do as a counselor, because it's not the absolute worst. That for the good you do, there's a reciprocation. But he's saying that's not the greatest way you can operate. The greatest way you operate is to develop and give spiritual things and not get nothing in return. And let that be the spirit behind and the motivating factor behind your counsel. That's really the type of thinking it takes for the Spirit to truly work through you. But too many of our people use this verse to justify gaining and getting an advantage. You remember Yaiqua back in the day, the whole concept of Yaiqua and that? Like, what the hell what was that for, right? And that was the Spirit, because our forefather's name was Supplanter. Right? It's supplanting all the kingdoms for the rest of eternity, right? Listen, Jacob didn't even supplant. Jacob worked his ass off.
Yeah.
For 20 years. He took, if you can look at, he took an L.
Took a major L.
He took a major. I wasn't supplanting. Did you read the story? Or you just use the word? Supplant, take. That means I can take. Y'all can take.
Yeah.
Just bring it to me and me get it cut.
Yeah.
What kind of craziness is this?
From 7 years to 14 years to 21
Then there's 6 more years for the animals.
Oh my gosh.
What's the point? Read that last line again. Nevertheless,
we have not used this power.
we haven't used the power that's not necessarily wicked to request. Read on.
But suffer all things.
Then that means we get nothing out the deal. Because the true spirit of a counselor, the right counselor, gives and gets nothing back. Or gives and doesn't posture for something back. Now, if somebody wants to give out of the goodness of their heart, cool. But a person in the Spirit of Christ gives and doesn't request nothing back. That's how you ensure that the message that you bring to the table is pure. That's how you ensure that the Spirit can flow through you. Is that when you're giving and when you're developing, you make sure the intention is never to gain on the other side. That's how you self-monitor. That's how you stay on top of your intentions and stay on top of the things you do every day for the Most High in Christ with the hopes that you'll be granted the Spirit. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
He's showing us Paul's example was the highest example you can bring to the table when you're responsible for a church, when you're responsible for a body of men and women and families. To make sure that every message that you bring to the table, every counsel that you bring to the table isn't about you gaining an advantage. That's how you manage corruption. That's how you manage greed. That's how you manage that taking spirit that's itching in everybody. Everybody got an itch that they want to scratch. The only way to break that itch is to make sure the motivation behind everything you give is for nothing. Read that part again.
Nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffer all things.
Because the reason that you suffer all things is for what reason?
Lest we should hinder the gospel of Yahushua.
You can't make it about you in any way. Because when you make it about you in any way, now you're getting in the way of the message of Christ. Which so many of us do. It makes a person who wants to quit, you gave him the fuel to quit. This is why you have to counsel and remove your intentions behind the counseling. So nobody has an excuse as to why they no longer want to serve the Most High no more. This is why I left the Israelites. More than likely, there's selfishness there. There's evil intent there. There's evil intent behind that gumbo of evil. But he's like, if you don't want to hinder the gospel of Christ, remove yourself out of the message. Remove yourself out of the spirit of counseling. Remove yourself and what you're getting out the deal out of how you're developing somebody else. There's a lot of times we're sitting back here stuck with dilemmas about, do you keep a person working with you, knowing what they bring to the table, or you sit back here and take the loss, knowing that's going to hurt the business, but knowing that this negative has to be removed for a period of time. These are thoughts that always go through our mind. Ethical questions. Does keeping this type of negative help us? Does it help us more than it hurts us? Then if you remove the comfort that comes from having negative around you, then you can start seeing clearly and the message can stay pure and clear. Does that make sense? Okay. Let that verse go and go back to Ecclesiastes 37, verse 8.
Ecclesiastes 37 and 8.
Give me 7 and 8.
Verse 7.
And 9, too.
Every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counseleth for himself.
There is a lot of Israelites that counsel for their benefit. When we just read, Paul was like, the best way to counsel is to remove yourself out the equation so that the message is at its purest. Read on.
Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath.
Because if you know what the counselor needs, then you know if he's steering you to his flesh or he's steering you to your development in the purest form of your spirit. The purest need that your spirit needs. Once again, the scriptures is trying to give the young person or the student an understanding of how to look at counselors, but it's also giving us an understanding of the spirit that counselors have and that men have. Because men haven't learned to make their message free. This is why there's certain camps out here that used to counsel for payment. I've said that before. Brothers will sit back here, we'll counsel you for a price. And now that camp isn't even, it was big in the States. And then it fizzed out. Because operating and doing good for a price, that's not the spirit of Christ at all. It's not the spirit of Christ. So he's letting us know as students what to look for. And he's also letting us know how counselors are supposed to operate. That means counselors in their own home. A lot of times brothers sit back here and push their ribs into things that benefit them more than their spirit. And their justification is, she's supposed to be my help. The question is this: is she supposed to be your help more than you're supposed to be her teacher? How about that? Is she supposed to be your help before you're supposed to be about her development? That's the point. But Israel don't look at that. Servant. She my servant. She my servant. What am I serving? She's going to serve me. So if she burns out, she burns out. You see the thinking? Is it letter of the law? It's not wicked.
It's not Christ.
But is it Christ? No. And that's why holding ourselves just to the center of the law doesn't determine us being in the spirit.
And it's that veil.
It's that veil that gets in the way between us really connecting to the Father. Because all the brothers say, she's my helpmate. She's supposed to serve me. What's Proverbs 31?
You know,
she ain't supposed to operate with a lot of sleep. Okay, bro, cool. Yeah. But what about the intention behind you being her developer? And you're supposed to be responsible for her spirit being built. So what's getting in the way of her spirit being built? But what's getting in the way of her spirit being built? You agree. You want. What you want out the deal gets in the way of her spirit. Yes.
It makes a lot more sense when you look at Galatians 3, when Paul was upset that someone else was putting different methodologies.
Yeah, he's an old fool's Galatians.
Because what they're doing is they're giving them different options.
Yeah, and different focus of intent.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
He's like, stop focusing on this stuff. Focus on what I had you focusing on, because this is going to get you quicker and closer to the Most High in Christ. They go in that direction.
Exactly.
That's going to take you in a direction that's not going to benefit your spirit.
It's going to slow you down.
So this is the point. Our counseling should be based upon somebody else's development over our benefit. And that's how you know if you're dealing with a good counselor or not. Dealing with a counselor that's more closer inclined to Christ than not. What's he getting out of the back end? What's he getting out the deal with that direction he's putting you in? Now, scripturally, you're still supposed to follow that person. You're still supposed to be in order and follow. That ain't changing. But the Most High is looking at that person who is manufacturing this direction. And he's keeping tab. He's keeping score. And these are the reasons why the Spirit is detached from you. Because once again, I keep reminding this point. That's what we're shooting for. For the Spirit of Christ to flow through us. Okay. Let's continue.
Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath, for he will counsel for himself, lest he cast the lot upon thee.
He'll put all the pressure on you to give him what he needs. And then there'll be minimal little spiritual things you can fix in yourself while having to lose more so he can gain. This is how we think. This is how our people think. You know, the sad thing is we always talk about Esau and how Esau has this classism and this, you know, Esau really, if he had it up to him, he'd have a lord serf type of world going on. You know, back in medieval Europe, it was lords and serfs. There was no middle class.
It was common.
You was either poor or you were elite. And if Esau had it up to him, he'd do it that way. But so will we.
Yeah.
Because the reason that there is a lord and a serf relationship is because it's hard to spur. If you want to get paid, you got to remove the what? In all kind of business environments, if you want to get maximum dollar, you have to remove the what?
Middleman.
The middleman. This is why like stores like Walmart can make so much money. They remove the middleman. They control the shipping, so they make maximum profits.
Shipping, the handling,
all of it.
Process,
distribution. That they own their own trucks. They got the planes to get the stuff back from China to the United States. They control all of that.
Got the factories.
They have the factories. They have distribution centers. And this is why the mom and pop stores can't survive, because they got to pay for that middleman fee.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you go to a mom and pop store, you're going to pay maybe $2 or $3 more for something. So if I'm broke, I'm going to go to Walmart because it's cheaper, not realizing that it destroys the middleman. But the whole process in society is about removing the middleman so the rich can get richer and the poor will remain poor. But this is the spirit also of a bad counselor. A bad counselor is going to keep everybody else hurting and broke, and only one person is advancing. That's how you know a person has evil intent with how he's developing people. And those people might have a temporary advantage, but the Most High removes those spirits over time. This is why the Most High is constantly recycling camps, recycling cities, recycling camps, recycling the body of Christ in these camps. He gives everybody periods of time to show what their true intention is, and he removes them once their intentions are revealed, or they have strung up enough examples to show that they're not the man for the job. That's why the turnover is so great. Because the correction of men and the evil of men is so rampant.
It's not the word's fault.
It's not the word's fault at all. It's the fact that veils in our hearts, like we read in 2 Corinthians 3. Continue.
For he will counsel for himself, lest he cast a lot upon thee. Verse 9. And say unto thee, thy way is good.
Then he'll sit back here and say, the way I'm showing you is good. This is the right way. Read on.
And afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee.
Then he wants to go over there to see how it's going to turn out. Because a wicked counselor, they said his devices are unsure. We read that in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9 and verse 17. His ways are unsure, because they benefit him more than the student that he's developing.
So he's not sure about the outcome.
So he's over there to go see how the outcome turns out.
You become a rat in experiment.
You're a guinea pig.
You're a guinea pig for their inexperience.
Or their selfish intent.
Well, their selfish intent is based off their
Well, I want to say it's not about experience, it's about selfish intent.
Selfish intent.
Because if my intent is pure, then most likely going to still sit back here and find a way to get you to get the lesson.
Make it work, yeah.
He'll
bless the purity of the intention.
That's the point.
Behind the counsel.
Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily about how perfect the counsel is, but it's more about the purest intention behind the counsel. But how is pure intention defined? If I have pure intention, I'll report up about what I'm going to say before I say it.
My dealings.
People are, I had pure intentions, but I didn't counsel anybody. That means your intention ain't pure. Because didn't the scripture say, let the righteous smite me, it should be a kindness? So if you're not communicating, your intention ain't pure. Because a lot of times people don't counsel because they don't want to be told what? No.
Simple as that.
Then they'll say my intention is pure, so it wasn't pure. Because if it was pure, you'd sit back here and get counsel before you make moves. But the fact that you don't counsel before you make moves proves that your intention is insincere and it's dark. And that's why the Most High don't honor it.
Verse 9.
Okay, let's read verse 9. Yeah, you said that was verse 9? Let that go. And let's go to Micah chapter 3 and 11.
Micah 3 and 11.
And let me get there. Okay.
Micah chapter 3, verse 11.
Micah chapter 3, verse 11. It says, the heads thereof judge for reward.
Listen, I want to make sure it might not be as extreme as the prophets and the heads back in the day judge for reward, but we judge for comforts and convenience
And liberties.
and liberty. That's what we counsel for. We counsel on a very small scale for our advantages. There's a brother that said, I'm not judging for a reward like this. Well, you judge for an advantage. Are you honest enough to sit back and ask yourself, what spirit am I in when I deal with this person on these issues? When I deal with this brother or I deal with this wife on these issues? Is it really pure? Is it really pure of intention? Or are you doing it just to get something out the deal? Yes.
If I may, instead of reward, we can even put benefits.
Yeah.
Because we see reward as kind of like an extreme word.
God.
We'll sit back here and counsel for favor, for things to go our way.
God.
I want this and this out the deal, so I'm going to say this and spin it this way. But
Yeah. Or the brothers will sit back and counsel just so that the spirit don't argue that day.
yeah.
I'm a counselor to keep her mouth shut. Is that really the way you're supposed to be counseling? If I'm counseling just to keep this person from arguing, then maybe you're not counseling enough. Maybe you should be counseling every day or as much as you can to actually work towards a goal. We sit back here and counsel because the ship is sinking.
Yep.
Now I got to put things to stop the damn boat from sinking. We don't counsel to build a spirit up. We counsel to keep a spirit from completely drowning. And we call that counsel. That's how we judge for reward. I'm just going to counsel this person to keep it going for another year or two. I'm going to counsel this to keep it going as long as I can. You're not counseling to develop somebody and build them up. We don't think like that. Because to do that, think about the life we live. How much time the camp requires us. How much time we have to study. Then there's a little bit of time left. A lot of times we don't want to give that time counseling ribs and teaching ribs. We don't want to do it. Because if you do that, then you have no time. So then we only do that when we have to do it. And that's how we counsel and teach for a reward or a benefit. It benefits this person to be able to just sustain themselves. You know, it's funny. And then we'll sit back and say, you got to go online and listen to class. That's cool. It's cool to go online and listen to class. But how many brothers in the camp go to class and don't get the understanding in class? The brothers that tell their women to go to class, listen to class online, don't grow from listening to class online. Because if you're honest with yourself, you grow from taking the class that you hear in person and go home and study what you learn to make the information yours. But you're trying to get a person to get all the information they can in class so that you don't got to sit back here and put the work in when you get home. And that's the truth. Then you say, oh, she's not listening to the Spirit. She doesn't want class. We got men in here that don't figure it out when they go to class in person. And the reason they don't figure it out when they come to class in person is they don't take it home with them to work on what's inside of them. But we expect people to do what we don't do, to grasp concepts that we don't even grasp. Anyway, let's keep going. Read verse 11. Chapter 3, verse 11.
Micah chapter 3, verse 11. It says, the heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money.
A lot of times we counsel so we can gain. And if we want the Spirit to be with us, we have to break the intention behind our message and make sure the intention is as pure as possible in every single situation to ensure that Christ will be backing these counsels and plays. Read on.
Yet will they lean upon the Most High and say, is not the Lord among us?
And that's the craziness. We sit back here and counsel for reward, but then on the other side we'll say, yeah, the Most High is with me. The Most High is with this counsel. The Most High is backing my move. How is the Most High going to back our moves while our moves are based upon putting ourselves first? That's what we don't understand about how the Most High thinks. That's that veil. That's that disconnect. It's almost like everything. There was literally a brother, I forgot the guy's name, but many years ago, he used to go to the summits, and he used to just sell books on how he had a bunch of ribs. And this guy just sold books like he was the example in the nation. And he sat back here. And I thought he was a clown, bro. He had all these rainbow colors of the shirt. He had the matching pants. Yeah. And he had matching shoes to his top. I'm like, what is this monkey shit going on here, right?
Yeah.
And there's all these colors, and he wasn't just, it was the meat show. He was pushing. What's that?
The colors were matching the book.
I don't care. It was a monkey outfit. It was a silly outfit, and all he was pushing in the truth was how he can get a bunch of women. And I'm like, this guy really thought that was the Spirit? It was about accumulating this as much resources as you can to come up so you can smile you like this. Because that's what it was. He like this. It was. I like, this guy really thinks the Spirit's with him. And then how much is he putting and investing into these people? Or is he just pulling verses about, you got to serve me because the Bible says serve me. Put me first. And I'm going to give you counsel about how you got to put me first. And I'm going to sit back and sell books. How the woman got to put them first. It's about putting the man first. Because I'm first. Because I'm first. That's the problem. And that's why the Spirit put him last. The Spirit didn't put him first. Because his whole thinking was ego, self-centeredness. Now, this is not attacking having another woman or more than one woman, but you got to really, really be checking your intention behind why you adding on this responsibility. What's your reasoning? And do you really have it in you to sit back and dedicate and developing more than one? Brother's like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Khan! It's the strongest Khan in the world. Khan! Okay, bro. People aren't dedicated to developing the one they got. That's true too. So a lot of our people, we dedicate for ourselves and sprinkle a little counts for other people and think the Most High is with that, and He's not. Let that verse go and go to Job chapter 7 and verse 2.
Job 7 and 2.
Everybody, we had a nice number. The numbers dropped.
Change the channel.
We don't want to hear this.
That's enough for that.
See that? It was higher earlier.
That's enough for that class.
Yeah,
We had 20 minutes longer.
no more class. Class is over.
Enough.
The volume got cut down quick.
You know,
Let's listen to some other.
There's a lot of
YouTube
teachers
classes.
out there.
There's a lot of classes online right now.
The old class, let's go get the
Let's get an older class.
class is good.
But the fall of Babylon. Let's get a class about the fall of Babylon.
Was a terrible kingdom.
Babylon the Great has fallen.
Nebuchadnezzar was evil.
Let's get a Shabbat. Let's listen to Shabbat right now. Let's listen to Shabbat. I think it's time for that.
You know what, the Greeks?
Yeah.
They weren't.
What about Judas Maccabees? Let's listen to that.
They weren't straight in Greece.
Listen about the reverse circumcision. That's a good lesson. Well, let's keep going. Job 7 and 2.
Job 7 and 2. As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work.
So the Most High shows a lot of us as counselors. Because we sit back here and counsel for ourselves, the Most High looks at us as hireling.
That's crazy.
Because the hireling looks for a benefit. The hireling can't do this if he's not getting something out the deal.
Can't exist.
I can't exist, but I can't do this without getting something out the deal. And a lot of Israelites, they teach and they do all this work because they got to get something in return. And if they're not getting something in return, then people are unhappy. I'm something missing in my life.
Dejected.
I'm dejected, and I don't know how long I can keep doing this. That's what happens. I remember brothers used to joke back in the day during the mall days. They said, man, if I get a rib, man, I'm going to make 300 every single day. Brother would sit back and say, I make my quota every day if I get a rib. That's what brothers would sit back here and think. That's what they would say. That was the joke brothers would throw.
Or if a brother gets a rib, he'll make 500 a day. Which is true.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, that was what was said.
So, is it brother producing that? You get a new rib, he'll make 500 a day.
That's
I'll make like $50 a day,
Oh
$80,
my God.
120, and just give him spirit. Give him a rib, 500 every time.
It's the truth.
What is that?
Well, it explains that brothers are hirelings. Brothers work for the blessing. That might help work when you first come into truth. You'll get some blessings early for the Most High to give you confirmation. But over time, He stops doing that. Because our age should show our understanding. And over time, we should show to the Most High that whether we're up or whether we're down doesn't change what we do for Him. But the problem is, as we're reading, a lot of people do this for something out the deal. Because of what? We just read it in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Not 7, chapter 9. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, said what? It said that the thoughts of mortal men are miserable. And our devices are but uncertain. Listen, our mind is focused on what I didn't have when I was a little boy. We can't get past how hard our youth was. We can't get past how hard our life was in the world. So now I got to have things. And now the law and the scriptures gives me the free reign to have things now. Am I right or wrong?
Like 20 years later.
Israel sits back here and uses the law and the freedoms the Most High gives us to gain and to try to get all the things we couldn't get in the world. And we think that Christ is with that. And then we think that the law and the scriptures give us this permission just to get things and come on top and to get on top. for all the hard work we do. But that's not what the prophets did. The prophets gave, and they dedicated, and they lost at the end. How about that? Remember that story we went into about how one of the prophets at the time of Elijah or Elisha, he died broke?
Yep.
And his wife and his kids didn't have nothing?
And they were in debt.
They were in debt. And more times than not, they sell the kids to slavery. Yeah. And the funny thing was, who was selling the kids to slavery? Israelites. Esau wasn't even there anymore. Well, Esau wasn't there at the time. So who was going to sell them for slavery debt?
We were.
The Jew. Well, what's the point? The point was that was more the reality than the other side. The prophets died broke. Can you accept that? A lot of times, no. Because we're doing this for a gain. We do it to come up. And we have to learn that we got to do it not for the benefit. Do it so that others can grow. And if we can't fix that in our minds, then the Lord's going to look at us like we're hirelings. And how does the Lord look at hirelings? Let's go to St. John chapter 10, verse 11 through 13.
St. John chapter 10 and verse 11.
Oops. We're almost done. We won't have time. We're only here, bro. Okay. St. John chapter 10, verse 11 through 13.
St. John chapter 10 and verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep.
The good shepherd, the good counselor, makes sure that whatever he wants is last, and the sheep get what they need. This is what Christ is explaining. He's using these parables and these stories to teach us the priority. The student has to come first. The student's needs have to come first. Read on.
But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth.
What he's saying is the hireling, when the hireling realizes that the benefits aren't as great as the loss, they leave. Or they back off a spirit. A hireling is only in it to gain. So if a hireling has to lose more than they gain, then he don't want to do nothing. He don't want to have to sit back here and deal with that spirit no more. But the Most High literally puts us amongst people that is going to force us to give more than what we gain back to determine if we are a hireling or not. The Most High literally puts us in marriages, in relationships with the brothers, that's going to force you to give more than what you get back. And how you react to that person, how you react to that sister, how you react to that brother, lets the Most High know everything he needs to know about your character. If you want to sit back here and back away a person that pulls away from you more than you gain, and you don't want to deal with that spirit, he knows you're a hireling and you're in it for the win. And he ain't going to build with you that way. That's why a lot of us, there's certain ribs that if we don't get nothing out there, we wanted to move on from them. That means we're hirelings. And we're really not about developing our children. And we're really not good counselors. We're not built to be counselors. Because a counselor is supposed to give way more than what he loses. Or lose more than what he gains. That's how you know you're a counselor. Read verse 12 again.
St. John chapter 10 and verse 12. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth.
Because it's more about his preservation than that person's spirit. Read on.
And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep.
Simple as that.
It's that simple.
Not
A harlot is about gain, and he's not about developing. But he puts himself in position to be the responsible one. And this is what we have to make sure we don't do. We have to make sure that our intentions are about the development of the brother, the sister, the people around us, even if it's to our detriment. And if we can successfully or consistently make sure the priority is the student, even at our loss, then we can prove to Christ that we're truly his servants and we're truly shepherd material. And if we can sustain that long enough, along with other forms of pureness of intention, maybe the Most High will grant us that Holy Spirit that we're all looking for. We're going to shut it down at that point. For tuning in, y'all. We'll see everybody else next Monday. So I just want to be ready on Wednesday. Shalom, y'all.
Also, too.